about this. If you're in a organization like Kodak, and you have this crazy, 25-year-old kid that nobody knows who the hell he is, demonstrating a system that would completely undermine the entire financial model of which this company was based.
In 1888, a simple slogan changed photography forever. You press the button, we do the rest. George Eastman had just made capturing moments accessible to everyday people, transforming his company into a household name that would dominate an entire industry for over a century. But by 2012, that same company would file for bankruptcy, destroyed by the very technology it had pioneered. This is the story of how Kodak invented the future and then refused to live in it. The name Kodak was born from pure creativity. George Eastman, a former bank clerk from Rochester, New York, had a simple philosophy. He wanted the letter K because it seemed strong and incisive. Using an anagram set with his mother, he crafted a meaningless word that would soon define photography itself. Before Eastman, taking a photograph required lugging around equipment heavier than most furniture, mixing dangerous chemicals and possessing technical expertise that few people had. It was an art form reserved for professionals and the wealthy. Eastman saw an opportunity where others saw complexity. His first major breakthrough came in 1888 with the Kodak camera, a simple handheld box containing a roll of film with 100 exposures. When customers finished the roll, they mailed the entire camera back to Rochester. Kodak developed the film, printed the photos, reloaded the camera, and sent everything back. The genius was in the simplicity. Ordinary people could now preserve their memories without understanding the science behind it. By 1900, Eastman introduced the Brownie camera, selling for just $1, with film costing 15 cents per roll. Photography had truly become democratic. Throughout the 20th century, Kodak continued pushing boundaries. The company introduced Kodachrome in 1935, the first commercially successful color film that transformed how people saw the world. The Instamatic cameras of the 1960s sold 50 million units in 7 years. Kodak film captured Neil Armstrong's first steps on the moon. The phrase Kodak moment entered everyday language, becoming synonymous with any experience worth preserving. By 1976, Kodak controlled 90% of the film market and 85% of camera sales in the United States. The company employed over 140,000 people worldwide and held a market value exceeding $28 billion. Kodak wasn't just successful, it was photography. But hidden in a Rochester research laboratory, a young electrical engineer was about to create something that would eventually destroy everything Kodak had built. In 1973, fresh out of graduate school with a master's degree from Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, Steve Sasson joined Kodak as one of the few electrical engineers in a company dominated by chemists and mechanical engineers. Cameras were mechanical devices, and film processing required chemistry. Electrical engineering didn't seem particularly relevant to photography. That perception would soon change. In 1974, Sasson's supervisor, Gareth Lloyd, gave him what seemed like a filler project. A new technology called a charge-coupled device had just become available, and Lloyd wanted Sasson to explore whether it might have any practical applications for Kodak's operations. Perhaps it could be used as a measuring tool in manufacturing. Sasson had a different idea, drawing on his childhood fascination with electronics and how television screens converted electrical pulses into two-dimensional images. He wondered if this technology could capture and store photographs without using any film at all. The concept seemed almost absurd. Kodak's entire business model revolved around selling film and the chemicals to process it. But Sasson committed himself to the challenge. With no real budget beyond $100 to purchase the charge-coupled device, he scavenged parts from around the laboratory. He borrowed a lens from an 8mm Kodak movie camera found in a junk bin. He wired together 16 nickel-cadmium batteries, an analog-to-digital converter, and several dozen circuits across 6 circuit boards. He added a portable cassette tape recorder to store the digital information. In December 1975, after months of experimentation and countless mornings questioning why he'd committed to such an ambitious project, Sasson's creation finally worked. The device was anything but elegant. It weighed 8 pounds, roughly the size of a toaster, with wires protruding and a crude wooden handle attached to one side. The camera captured images at a resolution of just 100 by 100 pixels, a mere 0.01 megapixels. Each image took 23 seconds to record onto the cassette tape. The first photograph ever captured digitally was of a Kodak lab technician named Joy Marshall. The image appeared in black and white, grainy and primitive, but it existed without a single piece of film. Sasson built a separate playback system that could read the cassette tape and display the image on a television screen. When he demonstrated his invention to Kodak executives in 1976, the reaction was mixed at best. Walking into meetings with his unusual contraption, Sasson would photograph people in the room before explaining anything. Then he'd remove the cassette tape, insert it into the playback unit, and wait for the image to appear on screen. That moment typically grabbed everyone's attention, but what came next revealed the fundamental problem Kodak faced. The executives didn't ask how the technology worked. They asked why anyone would want to take pictures this way when traditional photography worked perfectly fine. Nobody had asked Sasson to develop a filmless camera. In fact, most people at Kodak didn't even know he was working on the project. The company filed a patent for the technology in 1977, which was granted in 1978 as patent number 4,130,1919. But Kodak made a calculated decision not to pursue commercial development. The reasoning seemed sound at the time. The image quality was terrible. The device was impractical and expensive. Most importantly, digital photography threatened to cannibalize Kodak's most profitable business, selling film and photographic paper. This was the innovator's dilemma in action, a concept that business professors Clayton Christensen and Joseph Bauer would later define. Companies that focus on perfecting existing products and protecting current profits often ignore small innovations that eventually reshape entire industries. George Eastman himself had warned against such thinking decades earlier, saying the world is moving, and a company that contents itself with present accomplishments soon falls behind. Yet his own company now faced exactly that trap. Sasson continued working on digital camera technology for Kodak throughout the following decades. In 1989, he and colleague Robert Hills developed the first digital single-lens reflex camera. Again, Kodak declined to market it, protecting their film sales. Meanwhile, competitors were watching. Canon, Sony, Nikon, and eventually technology companies like Apple saw the potential Kodak refused to embrace. By 2001, worldwide film sales peaked and then began declining rapidly as digital cameras flooded the market. Kodak's entire business model collapsed. The company made desperate attempts to adapt. They purchased the photo-sharing website Aphoto in 2001, but used it merely to encourage printing digital photos rather than building a social platform that could have competed with Facebook or Instagram. They launched consumer inkjet printers and digital cameras, but by then, competitors had captured market share. Kodak was playing catch-up in a race they should have led. Between 1996 and 2012, Kodak's workforce shrank from 140,000 to just 17,000 employees. Revenue plummeted from over $13 billion to $6 billion. The company closed 13 factories and 130 photo laboratories. By 2011, Kodak was burning through cash reserves at an alarming rate. In January 2012, exactly 37 years after Steve Sasson invented the digital camera, Kodak filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. During bankruptcy proceedings, the company sold its vast portfolio of digital imaging patents for just $527 million to a consortium including Apple, Google, Facebook, and Microsoft. The patents Kodak had accumulated over decades of pioneering digital technology sold for a fraction of their potential value. Kodak emerged from bankruptcy in September 2013 as a shadow of its former self, focusing on commercial printing and motion picture film, serving niche markets rather than the mass consumer base it once dominated. The tragedy of Kodak isn't that they failed to innovate. They invented the digital camera. They developed pioneering image sensors. They held over 1,000 patents related to digital photography. The tragedy is that they saw the future clearly and chose to look away because that future threatened their present. Fear of cannibalizing existing profits prevented them from cannibalizing themselves before competitors did it for them. In 2009, President Barack Obama awarded Steve Sasson the National Medal of Technology and Innovation, the highest honor given to inventors by the United States government. Sasson spent over 3 decades at Kodak working on the technology that would eventually replace film photography. Today, billions of photos are captured every day on devices that exist because of his invention. Meanwhile, the company that employed him exists only as a fraction of what it once represented. Kodak's fall proves that past success guarantees nothing. Market dominance can vanish within a generation when companies prioritize protecting yesterday's profits over building tomorrow's products. Innovation requires more than just invention. It demands the courage to embrace change, even when that change threatens everything you've built. George Eastman understood this when he disrupted his own business model multiple times, moving from dry plates to film, from black and white to color. But somewhere along the way, his company forgot the lesson their founder taught them. They invented digital cameras and then killed their own future because they couldn't imagine a world where film didn't matter. That world arrived anyway, and Kodak wasn't in it.